Purple Fufu listeners, thank you for tuning back into episode. Because I forgot. What episode are we on now, guys?
I want to say 16.
Yeah, I think
16.
it's 16.
For now, it's 16 until we're proven otherwise. But thank you for tuning in to episode 16 of Purple Fufu. I, Slimeball, am back. Not on Twitter right now, but PFF_vibes is my handle if you want to follow me anyway. And I'm here with my lovely, lovely co-hosts at Vikings Theorist and at Rager Season Bryce. How we feeling, guys? 13-4 in Kevin O'Connell's inaugural season.
I'm doing pretty well. Aside from the Vikings, I'm pretty sick if you can't hear that. So apologize. Thanks for sticking with me. Season's over. Meaningless game like we knew it would be. A lot of shenanigans, but really excited for the postseason. I think I'm optimistic, I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the way I look at it, it's going to be like the typical Vikings response is like, no matter what happens in the playoffs, we made the playoffs. Like, that's how I feel, especially with Kevin O'Connell's first year. Nobody expected us to be this good. So I think it's a good foundational piece to build off of. So I'm excited. Yeah, we saw some shenanigans on Sunday with some plays, but I enjoyed it. We got the win, got to see some backups do their thing. So
I thought it
playoffs.
was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say playoffs, baby. Here we come.
Let's do it. This was like a super, super pleasurable viewing experience because I really like Theorist's quote from last week. The no game has ever not mattered more than this game this week, which is awesome because it's still our team that's playing. And so I still have like a very heavy, vested rooting interest. And I love football. So I get to watch my favorite team play football with absolutely no consequences, knowing that we're going into the playoffs. So it was literally just like, it was like watching regular season baseball. It was so relaxed. It was awesome. Yeah, we need more games like that because the other thing too is they won by 2 scores, which if they had been losing, like I wouldn't have cared because it didn't fucking matter anyway. But it would have been still like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, let's cast season off a little bit at least, all right? But they won the game by 2 scores, of course, week 1 and week 18, naturally with 11 one-score games in between. But, we don't have to talk about that right now. It's playoff time, and I'm a little bit nervous about that game, but we'll save the talk for that for later.
Yeah, I think we can spend most of the episode talking about that just because
Honestly.
the Bears game was so meaningless. But I don't know. There were a few points that I was interested in hearing your guys' take, namely the performance of KJ Osborne and Jalen Naylor. Again, I'm just going to jump right into it. I really like how they played.
I like it too. I think that there's something brewing there with Jalen Naylor a little bit. Whether that's like a high-end wide receiver 4 or like an eventual wide receiver like 2 type. I don't know. It's really difficult to tell on his limited snaps like that. But regardless, if he's able to turn into a contributing receiver, that's huge. And he is the guy they go to, not only in those late game situations where they have, the agency to do that, but he plays a ton on special teams and makes a lot of plays in special teams too. So he's valuable in that sense as well. KJ's been really good lately. He's the only guy that can play on grass on our team. So for that reason alone, I think he has to stay.
Yeah, I was going to say I totally agree with what you said about Jalen Naylor, but I think me personally, I think KJ is starting to treading the water that borderline wide receiver 2 for us. That's personally how I feel, is that he's slowly blossoming into a wide receiver 2, which is nice to see with the slow decline of Adam Thielen, which has hurt us a lot this year. But our wide receiver coach, McCardle's doing some special things with our wide receiver room, and I'm really worried that he's going to get poached.
I'm not overly worried about McCardle getting poached. He stuck around this offseason through a regime change. It could have been very easy for him to dip and go somewhere else. And oftentimes it's harder for those non-QB coach position guys that aren't coming from like directly from Sean McVay or from like Kyle Shanahan or Bill Belichick to get those coordinator positions. So I'm not terribly worried. That being said, I have no idea what these other head coaches are thinking when they're going to replace their OCs, but I'm right there with you. He's been fantastic and I hope they can hold on to him no matter what.
I really like Matt Daniels. Is that his name? Matt Daniels too, the special teams coordinator. I know it's been a little bit up and down, but it feels like there's at least a little bit of explosiveness to the special teams this year that it hasn't had in a long time. And I kind of mean that beyond Greg Joseph. Like Chris Boyd, I think, adds a lot of value on the outside now under Matt Daniels, and Zadarius Smith has blocked a kick, and we've had some production there this year, which we haven't really seen that much of in years past. So I really like I like the position coaches. I really like where the coordinators are at right now, which is like half the battle of being a head coach is hiring the right guys around you.
Yeah, to build off that special teams, I think one of the MVPs for our team, honestly, was Ryan Wright.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was a huge part of our special teams. When he was on, like he had a few like bad games or whatever, but for like a rookie, he was an undrafted free agent. We found a diamond in the rough. I feel like because like what he's averaging like 50 yards a punt or something like that, which is to me it's crazy. He instantly flips field position.
I love Ryan Wright. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. He rocks. So you always have leniency to step in and say I love the punt god. There are very few punters in the league that have like an X factor. Like Denny Hecker was one for a while, and yeah, he's the only one I can think of. And Ryan Wright's got a little bit of that too. He could just fucking every once in a while drill one like 70 yards and plunk it inside the 5 or like throw a pass. Remember when he threw a hitch route? That was so fucking sick. Yeah, Ryan's awesome. He's got that beer belly too. Just fucking like. I think he was a Green Wave guy, wasn't he? He was like a Tulane. I think he played for Tulane. Like, everything about the guy just fucking rocks.
I wonder, I have 2 points. I wonder if he's going to be kind of the catalyst to all of these big boy kickers and punters like making it in the NFL. I'm kind of getting tired of the soccer guy like archetype. I'm ready for the big boys. Also, you said Denny Hecker. I think you were referring to John Hecker.
Yeah, Johnny Hecker. Yeah.
Denny Hecker was that he was the car dealer in the Twin Cities
guy.
Yeah, he was that
guy. No, bro, he had some really good years for the LA Rams too.
Yeah, he did. That's a good punter. I'm glad you brought up the point though of just like special team, or not even special teams, just our coaches in general with Matt Daniels along with McCardell. I've noticed that the Vikings haven't received any interview requests for any of their coaches or coordinators. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's one of those things where teams, NFL teams aren't stupid. They have the same narratives, kind of running through their heads that we do as fans. And I don't know if they like really think that we're legit, like a lot of fans don't think we are with all the 1-score wins and all that. And so I don't know. I guess I'm not wholly surprised just because this is a regime that's in its first year and they're winning a lot of games, which is really good. But theoretically, they have all these stars with Kendricks and Smith and Jefferson and Cousins and whatnot. And so I almost wonder if other teams are like, hey, we can find a guy that's, proven he can sustain versus somebody that's jumping in here and having very shaky, on shaky ground.
Yeah, I mean, except for like our wide receiver coach, they're all first year coaches or first year positions. I think I may be wrong on some of that, but I think that could be it too. But yeah, who knows? Like what you said, Slime, could be that they're just all the NFL coaches are like, what's going on there? They should be scoring more. Their defense should be doing more. I don't know. Maybe it's a mixture of both. Who knows?
I think a big thing pertaining to coaching hires that fans don't really talk about as much is the networking aspect. Coaches don't really have like metrics that they can really be judged off like players do. Of course, you can look at like their unit or their like room performance, but they don't have, like I said, they don't have these concrete numbers that the players do. And a lot of times it comes down to like coaches, like knowing who they can work with because they've worked with them in the past and then knowing that that's going to work out too. And looking at the Vikings like coaching roster, a lot of these guys, like you said, Bryce, are very new and a lot of them don't have that network built out. Obviously, some of them do. A lot of them came from the McVay coaching tree, but I think with McVay kind of being up in the air and Raw Morris looking like the potential favorite to take his job in LA, that might be a place where we see like Chris O'Hara go back or like Curtis Modkins, I believe came from there as well. But yeah, aside from that, I think you're right. I think that we're going to see just a lot of stability going into next year, which I really like. And I know that unit performance is questionable, but I think the league knows this as well, that that's going to improve as well with that consistency.
Yeah, I think that next year is a really big year for the Vikings coaches in terms of getting promotions, just because, they'll have some recognition now that we've made the playoffs and we're a 3 seed and we're 12 and 4 or 13 and 4. But at the same time, like if we come out next year, and this is what I'm a little bit worried about, if we come out next year and we just aren't very good and like we don't really perform, we don't win 13 games next year, maybe only win 9. And our schedules, I don't know if you guys saw the schedule or not. The schedule next year is fucking really tough. Like if you assume that you sweep the Bears and sweep like the Packers or the Lions, you're still like looking at like maybe 11 wins. It's so it's possible that it gets worse next year too, and then maybe we have even more stability going into year 3 and hopefully a younger roster. And then so I really think it's going to be 3 or 4 years before we start to see those guys getting poached. But at the same time, I think the NFL is in a state now where a lot of teams are more willing to take risks on younger coaches like that too. So it's always possible that somebody gets an early, a premature promotion.
I'm glad you brought up the schedule. This thing is a fucking blender. We play
Dude.
the Eagles on the road, the Bengals on the road. We got the Bucks, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the 49ers at home.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah,
gauntlet.
it's gonna be a tough record or a tough schedule. So we might see some regression. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we see some regression just based off that schedule, though.
Do not bet on the Vikings to win 13 games next season. It's not going to happen, guys.
Oh,
And
No.
that is okay. They overachieved this year,
Mhm.
but it's going to be rough next year.
that I wonder what the over under of wins will be set at with that roster coming out now.
Oh
I bet
God.
because at the same time we've won 13 this year, so I would imagine it's higher than the whatever it was 8.5 last year. I bet it's like
Yeah.
Yeah,
my bet is like I bet they go like
10.
9.5 or 10 and a
Yeah.
half.
I'm thinking it's going to be about the same just because
I think.
they were underestimated going into this season, yeah. But the Lions, especially if they like replace Jared Goff with I don't know, Bryce Young maybe,
Mhm.
they will have a huge win, like expected win spike. The Packers are always going to be the Packers. And if the Bears add any like semblance of talent to that team with Justin Fields getting another year, that's going to be like an expected win total raise from them too. So I think we could see a better, maybe even regression in the expected win column.
Yeah, no, I think so too. That's actually that's a really good point. I so earlier today I was talking with my buddies about the schedule and a couple of them immediately put in the chat. They're like, "Yeah, well, I think we'll sweep the Bears and then we'll." And I was like, "Hold on, I know they're projected for 5 wins next year or whatever, but they have the first overall pick. I, I think they actually finally have their fucking second round pick too now, or they have both their first and second for the first time in a billion years.
I
That's
believe they traded their second for Chase Claypool. I might be
Oh,
wrong
that's
though,
right. I forgot
which is
about that.
tough.
Okay,
That's
that's pretty
really
bad.
tough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that aside, let's say they draft well. They like you said with Justin Fields. I think any game's a toss up. It's like, yeah, we swept the Bears this year, but fucking Nathan Peterman, like, come on, that doesn't count as a sweep. Can you really confidently say that we would have won that game in Soldier if Justin's playing? So I think that's like a really strong assumption to be like, oh yeah, no problem. And then a couple of my buddies even said, oh yeah, we'll sweep the Packers too. I'm like, are you fucking listening to yourselves? Like, I lose patience.
Yeah, I don't even know the Bears game that they did win against Fields. The first one, it was a 1% one possession game, as all of our games were. And I know that they don't have that second round pick. They're going to get it back. They're going to have a trade package like we've never seen trading down because there's like 10 teams in the top 18 that are going to try to trade for that pick. So
Do the Lions? What pick do the Lions have again? Do they have the 2?
no, I think they have the eighth. Let me check.
Oh, okay, fine. I was worried that the Bears and the Lions had the top 2 picks. I was like, man.
If Jalen Carter and Will Anderson come to the NFC North, I don't think I'll be able to handle it.
No, fuck that shit.
The Lions have the sixth pick. Okay.
Okay, that's still pretty fucking good though.
Yeah. And like I said, that's in prime trade up position. They could easily build a package out to go get Bryce Young if they want him.
I really hope Poles doesn't let them do that.
Trading with an in division opponent to get a franchise quarterback, I don't think that's going to happen.
No way, right?
Yeah.
That's like trading your franchise quarterback in the yeah.
Yeah. And they'll have other
Nah,
packages elsewhere.
nah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts just like blow everything up to trade for a franchise quarterback. I think they're the team that desperately needs one. Because like I think for the Jets, Mike White is serviceable for now if they just like stick with him. But the Colts desperately need a fucking franchise QB.
Mike White's on the Jets. The Colts do not have anybody. They have Sam Ellinger.
No, that's what I'm saying is that like Mike White is serviceable on the Jets, so they don't need to like
I got
trade for a quarterback like the Colts would.
Yeah,
Colts,
I don't know.
The Colts are going to sign fucking Taylor Heineke. They're going to sign Taylor Heineke and call it a day.
I think the Colts and Jim Irsay are at a point where if they have to sign another like aging journeyman, like declining quarterback, that they're just going to fold and move to London, because they went from Andrew Luck, of course, to Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to someone in between there to Matt Ryan, maybe, or something like that. It's just this like long list of depression, and I don't think that they're gonna. I think they're gonna do something. Maybe CJ Stroud at 4, but I'll be curious to see.
Yeah, so is that their pick? They have the 4th overall. Yeah, they have like no reason to not take a quarterback.
Yeah, any of them, Stroud, Levis,
Yeah.
if they really want to go get Young, they can do that.
Yeah, yep. I don't even think Young's worth trading all that up for, though. I think I'd rather just have Stroud.
Yeah, I think the thing with Young for me is like in these drafts, you have like some of your first overall picks are guys like Burrow or Lawrence, where it's like this is clearly a guy, and
Right.
others you have guys like Baker Mayfield, where there's not like a clear cut number one. I think Bryce Young's like right in the middle of that, maybe leaning more towards the Mayfields.
Mm-hmm.
But like I get the size concerns, I get the durability concerns. Can you trust that as a franchise quarterback, especially on a shitty team with a shitty offensive line?
Right. And it's just like, it's really tough for me to set aside the fact that these guys are throwing to like world-class athletes, like against fucking kids that just came out of junior high. Like, so it's difficult for me to look at that, totally objectively, like, because there hasn't been a good quarterback from Alabama in like a while. And same with Ohio State too. And I, Justin Fields is going to break that mold. And I'm adamantly for judging the player and not the school. I think that's really just, short-sighted to do that. But, it's similar concerns that Tua had. And Tua so far to this point has been good under McDaniel, but the durability has been a problem. Some of those things have been true, and he's been pretty okay. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, at least as far as like putting together a trade package goes, I kind of hope the Bears are just stuck at that pick and have to take Will Anderson, even though I know that won't be the case.
I mean, shit, even if they do have to do that, that's still a win for Bears and Bears fans. Anderson, Carter, whoever they take.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would prefer they didn't get like a first and a second round pick back though,
Yeah.
for that one overall.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I trust Poles to do that, especially after that Claypool trade. I'm out. I'm kind of out on his trade acumen.
So while we're on the topic of draft, I'm very curious to hear your thoughts, because this has been popular on Vikings Twitter. Would you guys rather see us go offense or defense in the first round for the draft this year?
Slime, you want to go first? Or go ahead.
Me, personally, I want to see us go defense. Like, our linebackers are aging. Our cornerback depth, who knows what's going to happen. I think we need to go defense first. I'm sure we'll trade to get into the second. We'll go wide receiver, but I think we go defense in the first round.
Yeah, I think it has to be defense. I mean, are we like we are the last ranked defense in the league, aren't we? Or like 31st or something like that.
Maybe I think Detroit beat us out, but beat us out for 32nd. That is. But yeah, not good.
Yeah, so bad. I like don't really think there's any excuse to take offense. The offense will be fine. You also have an offensive minded head coach who, like, theoretically that shouldn't be a problem anyway if you're a little bit weak at like right guard. So as far as I'm concerned, it has to be corner in the first. I think. I mean, you could go linebacker if there's a stud. I don't know of any stud linebackers coming out of the draft this year. If there's like a stud. Yeah, I would even say the D line is kind of okay. I think it has to be a corner or a linebacker.
Glad you both said that, because I disagree with you. I think the Vikings don't need to go offense or defense. They just need to take the best player available wherever they are.
True.
Now, I do think that's going to end up being defense because by the looks of it, the back half of the first is more defensive, like good players than offensive. But I mean, say like Jordan Addison or someone like starts falling, or like Jordan Addison's like a pick away. Why not? I just think that's the best approach always. I know that there's going to be a lot of people who like, I assume like Bryce and Slime here, who really want to take whatever corner is just top of the board. I don't know, man. Like, look at how Andrew Booth's turned out as top of the board corner when they took him. I don't know. I'm always team full BPA no matter what. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
So a lot of thoughts about that. The first of which is it's certainly not take any corner that's on the board when you get to your spot. That I don't think is ever smart. For me, I'm a BPA unless the position that you want isn't there, and then trade back until it makes sense to draft that position. That's my take. I would prefer to I'm fine with really drafting anybody at any position for me of need at the right value. It has to be at the right value. If you can't make a trade back and there's a fucking stud receiver on the board, take the receiver. Always best player available always trumps positional need for me. However, trade back and find the guy that you want at the position that you want, and also recoup some value on the back half too. Theoretically, you should be able to trust yourself to at least draft one kind of late round pick that kind of produce a little bit, maybe not. Yeah. But certainly never just take, like, I don't want to take Joey Porter. So I think Joey Porter is a really good cornerback. I don't want to take him at whatever pick we're going to have in the first this year, I don't think. And then on the other end too, like, don't take guys with injury concerns and call it good value. That's the other thing. And that's where the Andrew Booth thing comes in for me.
Yeah. I think something that also plays into that this year, Slime, you have, I admit you have a much deeper knowledge of the prospects than I do this year. I know that at our two biggest positions of need, which are linebacker and corner, these are two deep classes, both like in terms of like top of the line talent and later round, like solid players. And I mean, shit, at the end of the first round, there's going to be good linebackers and corners still on the board. So I think it'll work out for us, but there's a lot of athleticism at both positions. And I agree with you there. Don't take an injury prone guy and call it value. Don't take the top player at a position wherever you're picking just because you need that position. I guess I'll just finish with that. Like, we're going to luck out because offensive line doesn't look super like deep this year, and defensive line doesn't look super deep this year. And we don't have major needs at either of those positions. So yay us.
Yeah, no, I just, I mean, I agree with both you guys. Obviously, I want BPA always, but it's more or less like me. I just like watching this game. I just like have a feeling with how deep this defensive class is that it's going to be linebacker or cornerback. Just like after Quessy and Kevin O'Connell have had a full season to watch what we need to fix our team, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, let's get some younger guys and get them going.
All right, I got one hypothetical for you before we move on to the Giants game. How's that sound?
Sounds great. Let's hit me.
All right. So say the Vikings are picking in the mid-20s. I'd say that's about reasonable for our expectations for the postseason. What do you do if Anthony Richardson is on the board where they pick? No trade up. He just falls to the spot.
That's so fucking hard, dude. It's a tough thing, and I think they actually are going to have to think about it too, because there's a chance that probably a pretty decent chance that he will be there. At least I kind of think so. Oh man. So me personally, I would take him only because I love him and I think he's dope as hell. And I think he can flick his wrist and chuck it like fucking 60 yards, and that's really cool. Not a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people agree with that, just because, he's got like similar concerns to, really any gunslinger coming out of college, right? Doesn't really make very good decisions, kind of chucks into tight windows too often, just basic immaturity stuff. I don't care about any of that because they said the same things about like Lamar Jackson and a whole bunch of other really cool guys that got drafted in those rounds, Russell Wilson. And so I would say go ahead and draft him because I think the arm talent's the best in the class personally, or one of the best in the class.
I'm right there with you. I'm glad you picked those answers.
Yeah,
Oh, brother.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't done a lot of research on the quarterback class, but I've seen like some highlights of Anthony Richardson. I think I would have to be on board with take him, and because we all know Kirk's going to be here one more year, possibly, unless they get a super weird trade package. You never know what could happen. But I think having Anthony sit for 1 year behind Kirk for development, I think that would be good. And then we have a quarterback on a rookie contract and then we can extend JJ and TJ because frankly, TJ Hawkinson is going to be a part of this franchise for a while because Kwesi didn't just trade him for a season and a half. Like, we got to look at it logically.
Yeah. And frankly, he should stick around too. Like we talked about on the show last week, there's 3 good tight ends and then a bunch of mids, and he's the top of the mids. So, whatever, we keep him around as long as he wears studded cleats next time we're in Green Bay. And the other thing too with Anthony Richardson is that, like, at least the way I see it, you don't really have to be like a world breaker right away in this offense. You just have to be pretty good, and those guys will make plays. Like Justin will always make plays. Hawkinson will get in his groove and he'll make the plays that he makes. The running back situation's been good because the O-line's great and you're throwing behind a good O-line. You don't have to be great right away. And so I do think that there's some leniency there and some room for guys to develop. And I want the guy to develop. The guy I want to develop is the guy that has the best arm talent, I'm all for it, especially at whatever, 24, 25, 26, whatever we get.
Yeah, that's like the optimal range to pick the next Drew Brees, I would say. So
yes, sir.
Just make it happen, Vikings. Let's see what
that's like not even a tall order, right? Like, come on.
No, a simple Hall of Fame career. I think that's fair.
It's easy. Well, and the thing is too is we've been waiting long enough. Like Santa, we've asked enough. It's time for you to tell your elves to conjure up an Aaron Rodgers for us.
I've said plenty of times that Bears fans talking all that mad smack about Justin Fields not making the Pro Bowl or Justin Fields being the best QB in the North. I can't hate on it, man. The next time the Vikings have a franchise quarterback that shows like an ounce of promise, I'm going to be 10 times worse than that. If it's Anthony Richardson, I'm naming my child Anthony Richardson, last name theorist. I swear to God.
We deserve it too.
We deserve it.
Have we ever had a cool quarterback? Not since Fran fucking Tarkenton. And I think that
a 70-year-old Brett Favre. Come on, God, bring it to me.
Give me Anthony Richardson. I want like a cool, like swagged out quarterback that fucking hucks bombs and can like escape a pocket. Would be dope as hell.
All right, shall we move on to the wild card game against the Giants?
Yes,
let's talk about it.
All right, so first crack at it, the Vikings are favored by 3, but it seems like everyone and their mother is picking them to lose at home to the Giants. How are you guys feeling about the game? Because it seems pretty contentious.
I mean, I can see why everyone is doubting us. The point differential thing, like, I don't know if I really truly agree if that's truly a difference maker, but we've kind of gotten our asses handed to us when the spotlight's been on us. We don't play at noon. We don't have the first playoff game on Sunday. And I hate like the primetime excuse for Kirk. It wasn't just Kirk. The whole team was asses during these bad losses. But I can see why everybody's picking against us. I personally think we're going to win. It's probably going to be another 1-score game. I think it's going to be a defensive game. We probably win by a field goal. That's just what my gut's telling me. But Slime, you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to chime in with my little take on it. So will for sure be a 1-score game. I think we can just get that out of the way now. There's no other possible outcome that it is. Yeah, 2-score games don't exist in US Bank. So we can just get that out of our heads right now. I don't know about this one, guys. One thing that really scares the shit out of me is playing a team twice in like 5 weeks or 6 weeks or whatever it is. Especially in a game that wasn't necessarily like an emotional game because of where we were at in the season. They had the 6 locked up already, I think, or we're pretty much cruising. And we pretty much had the 3 locked up. Although there weren't a ton of stakes in that game, it was still like kind of the way it ended with a big comeback from the Giants and then a 61-yard field goal to win. Like, I gotta imagine that leaves a bad taste in their mouths, especially coming back to that stadium to play us in the playoffs. And also, it's been since 2017 since the 6 seed, has lost to a 3 seed in the playoffs. So I've, I don't know. I'm nervous. Just his vibe wise, I'm nervous.
I think I'm right there with you. The fact that they feel like they should have won that game, and honestly, they probably should have won that game. You're right, getting that redemption and getting that quick. Let me just read off the end of the season for both teams. So we all know the Vikings, after that game, went into Lambeau, lost 17-41, didn't show up. And then they had the end of the season game that didn't matter where the starters didn't play. The Giants, after losing to the Vikings, they went and played the Indianapolis Colts. Not a great team, but they played them, beat them 38-10. And then in the final season of the game, they lost to the Eagles 22-16. That seems like a more convincing, stronger end of the season than what the Vikings had. I am not so sure that they're going to, or that the Giants now are going to lose any momentum going into the playoffs, despite the fact that they lost that game. I think they're going to take some positives from it. But I think Slime is right. I think the biggest thing just comes down to them getting the opportunity to redeem themselves so quickly.
Yeah, that's it. That's especially concerning the way that the Giants ended the season starting Davis Webb, the Eagles starting their starters, and still it was a 6 point game. Like that shows you there's a little bit more substance there than just like, oh, they snuck into the playoffs and they're feisty. Like I think that they're actually good. And Daniel Jones is one of those guys that like if they prioritize the right things with him, if he's able to really like if he's able to run for 30 or more yards on Sunday, it's going to be really tough to beat them because that's going to open the field up for passing too. And he's not a particularly good passer, but if he's able to move the ball a little bit on his own on us, along with Saquon Barkley, like that probably won't matter that much. I'm the saving grace I have and my solace that I take heading into this game is that it's at US Bank, and US Bank is really fucking hard to play at. They are really, really, really good at US Bank. There's some fluky, weird, like Valhalla curse on that stadium that like just goofy, strange shit happens in our favor. And so I very much, I think it's the truest toss up really of any of these playoff games so far.
Yeah, if you want to get a little bit more into the weeds on where the advantage lies, both coordinators, or I guess both coaches, were formerly coordinators on great teams who have very deep playoff experience. Kirk Cousins obviously has a little more playoff experience than Danny Dimes. The Vikings players in general just have a little bit more experience. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, man. I think you're right. I think it's going to be like a coin flip. Both of these teams are just super fraudulent, and we're going to see who's the greatest fraud to rule them all.
Yeah, honestly, and that's how I feel about it because it's funny. I look at the other teams that made the playoffs, and I'm like, I still feel like we got the best matchup. So, you know what I mean? I guess I would have liked to play the Seahawks. That would have been nice. But I was going into this week, I was expecting it to be an NFC North team, and so the whole time I was like, cool, sweet, Giants, whatever. But yeah, the other thing too is that really, like, I think the momentum thing that you brought up is really important too. When I was growing up playing sports, our coaches always told us like you just do to win anything, to win a tournament, to win a league, you just have to be top half and get hot at the right time. That's really what it is. Like that's why New York Football Giants with Eli Manning were able to run the table because they got hot at the right time. And we've seen teams do that before. Giants seem like that type of team to be able to do that with the way they ended the seasons and with us floundering. Like it's just a match made in hell.
Yeah, I think the key for this team, I guess I'll ask you guys and then I'll give my opinion first. What is the key to this team getting hot at the right time? How are they going to be able to make a Giants like run? And I'll go first. I think for me, it's going to be getting back to the roots. Just find Justin Jefferson and throw at him. Like it feels like they've kind of gotten away from that in recent games, especially in the Packer and Bears games. And I get it, your playoff spot is solidified, but it felt like the offense really was missing something. And I don't know, maybe it's like rose-colored glasses, but I think that along with Garrett Bradbury coming back and actually playing, the offense is going to at least have the opportunity to get hot and like catch some traction and look a lot more coherent than they have or at least than they did against the Giants and the Packers.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought one of my points up that I'm gonna make. Garrett Bradbury has been out for a couple weeks now. What, 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah.
Which is honestly, if you think about it, it's kind of when our offense started to sputter a bit. We've had to been playing backup center. Now we're down to what, like our third string center who's never played a snap at center before until last week, never started until the Bears game. But Garrett Bradbury is kind of an anchor for that offensive line and for our offense. And who would have thought that we would be saying that? Like, I know at the beginning of the season, we were like, Garrett Bradbury has to have a contract year. I think he's earned it, guys. Like, I'll eat crow on my Garrett Bradbury takes from earlier. I definitely think what's going to help our offense to have that Giants-like run is if we have a healthy Garrett Bradbury.
I'm going to take a victory lap on that Garrett Bradbury take. I felt like the only defender left this offseason. Let's go, Garrett.
You and Luke Brown, baby. Yeah. You guys take your bow. Yep. Enjoy your moment in the sun. You've earned it because he's been fucking awesome this year, man. I think another thing that like really goes kind of under the radar is that like these backup centers, maybe they get blown up. I don't really know. I haven't watched the tape close enough, but it seems to me like Garrett Bradbury is so important pre-snap. Oh my God. Like Chris Reed can't even fucking get a snap off, much less like get a snap off and then not get bulldozed. So yeah, that's huge. I hope that he's able to be who he was before he got hurt. And that remains to be seen. But maybe the extra week of rest was a good thing for him. I think they said he was like, I know he didn't play. I don't know if he was supposed to ever play last week, but he probably could have. I don't know what the report was on that. But regardless, yeah, that's a huge thing. I was initially worried about O'Neal getting hurt, and I'm still really, really worried about not having Brian O'Neal a top, whatever he is, 10-5 tackle in the league. That's terrifying. I think Oli Udoh isn't that bad at right tackle, though. If he can keep his hands to himself, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, Oli Udoh's at his like natural college position of right tackle, and he did well against the Bears. I'm reluctant at this point because it reminds me of a different guy that they played against the Bears in a season finale by the name of Rashad Hill. He played really well at, it was left tackle actually after Riley Reif went down. And kind of going into the offseason, we were like, yo, he had a really nice end of the season. Do we got something here? We didn't have anything there. And the playoffs are really going to tell us whether or not we have something with Oli Udoh. But it sounds like you guys think that the offensive line is going to be major in this team catching fire as a whole.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's shown like when our offensive line is standing up and protecting Kirk, those games, like I feel comfortable winning, like that we can win even if we're behind. But those games where you're just like, oh shit, we can't even get the ball snapped, like everybody's making false starts, whatever. It's like you can tell from the beginning what kind of game it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it multiple times on the show. I think it takes 8 men deep on both trenches to make a run. So I always think the offensive line is the most important position. The difference this year for the Vikings, though, is that I think the secondary matters a lot more than the D line. I think that the D line's good. I think that they're deep on the D line. I think that the D line doesn't have enough fucking time to get into the backfield because the ball's out and fucking as fast as I snap my fingers and blink my eyes. Like, they have no opportunity to disrupt the passing game at all. So I think for me, the biggest factor is going to be that secondary. If the secondary shows up and decides that they actually want to be aggressive and instinctual and play good football, we're going to be in good shape because hopefully we won't have teams dropping those 40 burgers on us. The O-line, I think for the most part is going to be sort of okay. But again, super important that they are, because if they're not, then we're going to see, those sputtering Cowboys games. And I don't want that shit. I'm done with it.
Yeah, if this secondary catches fire, I think we're going to have one man in particular to think, and his name is Duke Shelley.
Yes.
That dude is on another planet right now. He is killing it. He's one of the best cornerbacks in the league at the moment.
He's been awesome. I'm so happy for him that he got his first interception against the Bears, too. That's so great. He was pumped about that. Did you see he tweeted about it?
Yeah, that was so awesome.
I want to give a shout out to Questy, like having two of the most under the radar like signings for us was not only Duke Shelley, but Chris Tonga. He's a really good like depth defensive tackle. Like, I never realized how deep our defensive tackle or our D line was until this year. Like, our D line has been nasty, and I love it.
It has come a long way too since 2020 or whatever it was, because DJ Wanham is like actually pretty good now, like even beyond serviceable. And I have to eat crow on that because I was completely against DJ Wanham. I hated that guy for the first 2 years. He was like, in my defense, he was like he had the lowest pressure rate of like any rookie in the class at that position. So the dude turned it around, and he's showing now why he was the captain at South Carolina. Patrick Jones has stepped up. I really liked him pre-draft, so I could have seen that one coming, but he's been way better than I ever thought he'd be. So yeah, and then you brought up Kairos Tonga, and James Lynch has been all right too. Like I'm not concerned about the D line, which is a far cry from where we were a couple of years ago. It feels good to be able to say that.
Yeah, you were fully within your right to have that take about DJ Wanham. I think all of us were. That dude got washed out by running backs on a routine basis.
Yeah.
And now he's playable. That's just my favorite story to follow in the league.
He seems like a really good guy too. Like
Yeah.
he's the captain there. I think he has like some foundation that he helps run too. And yeah, seems like a real locker room guy as well, which I always cheer for those guys.
Yeah. I know this point has been beaten into the ground, but with Kairos Tonga and Duke Shelley especially, big thanks to the Chicago Bears for not retaining them on your team and letting us have them. We traded Armon Watts and ISM for those two, and ISM's no longer on that team, and Armon Watts was the reason why the Bears got shredded. So shout out Bears.
ISM won us a game this year against the Bears. So
yeah, he did.
God bless. Yeah, that couldn't have worked out any better.
Exactly.
If only Duke Shelley had stripped it, that would have been perfect.
Oh, that would have been poetic.
But Duke has been really good. I like Duke a lot because he's a gnat, man. Like he's very aggressive. He's not afraid of contact, and he's not afraid to like be sticky. And I see guys like Cam Dantzler and even sometimes Patrick Peterson a little bit too, giving themselves a little bit too much cushion, a little bit too much space because they're nervous about getting beat deep. And then they just either get beat short a billion times and then beat deep, or we play against Taylor Heineke, and even Taylor Heineke scored fucking 24 against us, so or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this as a complete joke. You guys may agree with it, but Duke Shelley is who everybody thought Andrew Booth was supposed to be. Because, like, Duke Shelley has that dog in him. Like, all that shit talking he was doing about the Bears. And then I don't know if you saw it. I thought it was funny, but I saw a tweet where he, like, slammed his helmet on the middle of this, like, field and Soldier Field, like, because he felt disrespected by the Bears. Fucking talk your shit, Duke Shelley. I don't care if people find that disrespectful. Like, they cut him, and he's earned a new contract with us. I think we have to re-sign Duke Shelley.
Yeah, talk throughout the whole season was like, oh, he's definitely earned like a spot at training camp. I think he's earned a spot at the bare minimum, like the favorite to be second string, if not like absolutely competing, for the first string.
Oh, I think so too, and because I think that there's some flexibility with him. He's not that big. He could probably slide over and play nickel if you needed him to as well. So yeah, I see no reason to not make sure he stays in the building next year. Knows the system too.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to talk a little bit about some key matchups. Duke Shelley is paramount there because, as we've said, his play has just been getting better and better every single week. And the Giants, despite not having like any good weapons for Daniel Jones, they still cooked us with Richie James, Darius Slayton, and Isaiah Hodgins. I'm excited to see if the ascending Duke Shelley and ever steady Patrick Peterson can slow that down this time around. Were there any other matchups that you guys were thinking of that are going to be important here?
I think the Kayvon Thibodeau against Oli Udoh is going to be huge because Brian O'Neill like shut KT down the first time around. Did Darisaw play that game?
He did, I think.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because that was Christmas Eve. Yeah, he did. I think again, like Slime and I said earlier, I think our O line is going to be a huge key matchup because their D line is nothing to laugh at. Like they got some ballers on that D line, But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Udo goes up against Thibodeau since O'Neal shut him down.
Yeah, I that's a huge one. That's gonna be we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that all game. Because Thibodeau's his get off time, his release time off the line of scrimmage is insane, and I wonder if Udo can keep up. Like frankly, he's a seventh rounder, not known to be like an athletic specimen. I know he's a big, strong guy, but not necessarily known to be an athletic specimen. We'll see. So definitely a huge matchup. I think that Eric Kendricks versus anyone is a big matchup. I feel like I remember for some reason I remember the name Derdinger or Bellinger. I mean, whatever that dude's name is, Jacob Bellinger or
Yeah,
something.
Daniel Bellinger.
Daniel Bellinger. Yeah. So why do I remember that name? That's so bad because he actually like was pretty effective against us and moved the sticks a couple of times. So not necessarily that matchup in particular. It's also in talking about passing up assignments and being able to pick up Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. They went after Kendricks a little bit last game early on until we started to figure things out. I wonder about that. It's going to be, the same as it has been all year, I think. And it's just going to come down to, are we able to mask that as well as we have been able to?
Yeah, I unfortunately think they're at a point of they are who they are. And it'll just be, you're right. Can we mask it? Can our corners step up enough so that we don't ask as much of Hicks and Kendricks? And can we score enough points so that it just doesn't matter anyways?
Right. So who else do they have on there? Is Leonard Williams healthy? He got hurt in the game against us.
It looks like he is. I think they were all healthy or they all practiced today, including Aziz Ojulari, who was hurt against us.
Sure, yeah, he's good too.
So it should be a pretty healthy game on Sunday.
Leonard Williams versus Garrett Bradbury is going to be a big one as well, with Bradbury coming off of injury right away here.
Mm-hmm. Dexter Lawrence in there too.
How's their O-line look? Because I knew they had some injuries on their O-line.
Can't find the injury report right now, but I checked it today and there wasn't. All right, here we go. Only John Feliciano, their center. He was limited participation, but it looks like he's going to play.
Okay.
He's good.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Thomas.
Yep. Andrew Thomas is fully healthy and ready to whoop some ass.
I'm not like too worried about their O-line though, just because I think it's so much less dependent on. I think that what happens on defense is so much less dependent on how good or bad the Giants O-line is, and so much more on how good or bad our secondary is.
Yeah.
I think if the opportunities are there, we'll be able to push the pocket a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing that we've learned throughout this season is that it doesn't really matter how good an offensive line or offensive lineman is. They can get beat. And all it takes is one play. And you're right. Like, it'll be a battle for sure. It'll just come down to whether or not our secondary and our linebackers can hold up against Daniel Jones's arm or against his legs, because he could hang 200 on the ground.
Yeah. I almost expect it.
Yeah. Take the over, whatever it is. Take it over.
What do you say?
Whatever the line is for Daniel Jones rushing yards, take the over.
Oh, yes. Oh, my God. What is it going to be, do you think? I wonder what it is. It's got to be like 20, 25.
It's probably like 30, honestly.
I was going to lean like 35 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always forget how much he runs. He like actually does run a fucking lot.
He's fast.
And he's a really good runner. But like, unlike Justin Fields, Danny Dimes can actually throw the ball when he needs to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he will chuck that fucker. He'll make mistakes too. He'll throw his Danny not so dimes every now and then, but he's pretty good.
Yeah. I think
pretty Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just hope that we don't have a huge stinker of a game. Like, I think it was Dustin Baker that tweeted it. Third quarter is going to be huge for us because we've all seen how we've come out of the gate third quarter. So I think that's going to be huge how we respond during the third quarter.
Yeah, no, I think so too. In the playoffs, I think every quarter is important, right? Like, I guess what, as far as that goes, I really just hope that the third quarter that we as Vikings fans have experienced the whole year, hopefully it was just a woozy, a mirage, an illusion, a fugazi woozy. It's not real. Never happened. Hopefully they have it locked down to where like they're not trying shit anymore and like not trying to make these like wacky, like weird adjustments because yeah, I mean, now's not the fucking time to have those kinds of problems.
Yeah, for sure. Do we want to get into game predictions?
Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to nominate Bryce to go first because I don't really know where I'm at yet. Bryce, what are we thinking?
Honestly, I think, like I said earlier, I think it's going to be a low scoring game. Earlier I said 10-7. I think it's going to be like, honestly, I think it's going to be 17-13. I think Graham Gano is going to miss an extra point or miss a field goal, whatever. But I think we win 17-13. It's going to be a low scoring playoff game.
Low scoring. So like the Seahawks TCF game part 2, maybe.
No, because we missed a kick on that one. So this time
maybe we can make it right.
Yeah.
Slime, what you got?
Oh, do I have to?
I can go first if you want. More time to think about it.
Yeah, well, I know what I'm gonna do. It's just
I want to hear it.
I didn't mention I ended up undefeated this year on my picks. I don't remember what I called for a score last week, but thank you, Nick Mullins, for making sure that we didn't fuck that one up for me. Appreciate it, brother. For this game, we didn't actually talk at all about Nick Mullins, but he was kind of fun. Anyways, I think that the Giants are gonna win, and I think they're gonna win 23-20 by way of a missed game time field goal by Gregory Joseph from 41 yards. That is my prediction.
Holy hell.
And it's going to be chaos. There might not be a point scored until the fourth quarter.
That's absolutely brutal. Yeah. Let me just first say congratulations on picking every single game correctly. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
I haven't seen that precision anywhere on NFL Twitter at all. I got to say, I hope that doesn't continue.
Do you remember that story I told about the hockey puck bouncing off the crossbar in my ass? This is that game.
Yeah.
This is that game. I would also like to asterisk myself too, because I did not pick every game this season. I think I picked 13 or 14 of them. Didn't pick every game because we started like week 2, and then I missed a couple weeks over the holidays. So still room for error there.
Yeah, but batting average is all that matters. So you're batting 1,000, you're good.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Hey, do what you can with what you got.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I still don't really know. So just forget it. Vikings. Yeah, Vikings 27-23.
Yes.
Normal score line, biggest goof fest of a playoff game you've ever seen. I think that's like been my safest bet all year. We're gonna go with that. No matter what, like we're gonna see like strip sacks for like touchdowns. We're gonna see at least 3 blocked punts and or kicks.
Yep.
We're gonna see like I can't even remember who the player was, but a one-handed like skyhook level interception from Dexter Lawrence at the line of scrimmage, just 7 fumbles from Dalvin Cook, all of the above. So be ready for
that. As many uprights are going to be hit as field goals. And,
yeah, that's a good one too. Oh, man, it's been a full season, and we're already headed into the playoffs, dude.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say, then the next round we're gonna have Tom Brady come in to US Bank because I had my bracket. Honestly, I made 2 brackets. My homer bracket is that Seattle upset San Francisco this week. I know that's probably not gonna happen. But then I have Dallas losing to Tampa Bay because Tom Brady's undefeated against Tampa Bay. So, and then I just think it would be fun to see Kirk just battle it out with Tom Brady in the postseason. So
that'd be sick as hell. First of all, I hope you're right because it'd be sick as hell. I actually think that Seahawks game is a little bit more up for grabs than people might think it is, because the Seahawks have fucking nothing to lose. They didn't know that they were in the playoffs until fucking 6:00 on Sunday. Geno Smith's their quarterback. This dude, like, he's been in the league for 100,000 years. He probably fucking has a ring. I don't know. But the dude's been around. He, again, has nothing to lose. So why would he be, like, super concerned about his reputation going into the game. Brock Purdy has everything to lose. Brock Purdy's a rookie. He was Mr. Irrelevant last year. He has a fucking contract on the line already. These are things that he probably never expected to have to deal with this year. I really think that game is that's going to be a weird one. I really think I got hopes. I got hopes that we actually, we see something funky there.
Yeah, it seems like the dialogue around that game is a lot more up in the air considering how many people had picked the 49ers to just like cakewalk the NFC. I would love to see that, man. It's a divisional game. That's going to be goofy too. Like I want a close, absolute like shitstorm going on out there. Let Seattle pull out a win so we get another home game. Let's do it.
So sick. How about 2 wins? They can pull out 2 wins if they want.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's why I was like, I was almost part of me, a very, very tiny, minuscule, ever so small part of me was hoping that the Packers actually would make the playoffs this year, because I feel like it feels like they could actually maybe like beat the 49ers. Like, I don't know. But at the same time, I think about it a little bit closer and I'm like, I don't really think they had any better chance of beating the 49ers than the Lions or the Seahawks do anyway. But it's just like the Rodgers thing, like it's like feels like maybe there's an avenue there. I don't know. But I'm glad, fuck them. I'm glad they could fuck off.
Yeah, I don't even care about avenues. Just put the team in front of us and just beat them. I don't want a single asterisk when the Vikings win a Super Bowl. Oh, they didn't play the best team in the league that year. I don't want to fucking hear it.
I agree.
Yeah, honestly, the way this year has gone, I wouldn't be surprised if we goofied our way to the Super Bowl and won it in some goofy fashion. Who fucking knows? Like, for all we know, the way the NFL season has gone, we could play the Jags in the Super Bowl, honestly. Don't sleep on the Jags. They're beating the Chargers, by the way.
They might beat the Chargers, but yeah, I mean, I think the Bills are winning the Super Bowl. I'm going to keep my reasons for why I think the Bills are winning the Super Bowl to myself, but I think the Bills are winning the Super Bowl this year. And, I would love it if we goofed our way into a Super Bowl win. I certainly personally would be shocked by that. If that somehow materialized, it'd be great. But like, I don't know. Yeah, it seems like a really tough hill to climb.
Bryce, I love that your bracket is just filled with chaos. I think that's exactly what we need. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Don't know how far it's going to carry us, though. The only thing I'll say about luck and about us vibing our way to the Super Bowl, I've seen a concerning number of Pro Football Focus employees talking about how it is destiny that the Vikings just goon their way to the Super Bowl. If the nerds are talking about it, dude, they aren't pulling out their numbers. I don't know, man.
We're so fucked. The PFF guys are talking about it. No, God damn it. That is like the fucking.
They got to be sarcastic, right? Or bitter, or like hate tweeting.
Oh,
I think the football gods will see through it.
Oh, they're 100% see through it, just like they did when we played Philadelphia, and like they did when we played Dallas, and like they did when we played Green Bay, and we got destroyed by 7 million points. Yeah, they're gonna see through it in one of those games.
Whatever happens, no matter what happens, you'll look at the result of the Vikings' final playoff game, and then you'll look back on the season and you'll think, yeah, we could have seen this coming from a mile away.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. That's so true.
With that being said, I think every Vikings fan, no matter what happens in the playoffs, we've had a successful season, whether you want to admit it or not. We may have a fraudulent couple of wins. We still had a great season to build off of. Let's just enjoy the playoffs, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah, no, I said it. I said last year that last year's team was that the one that lost all the 1-score games? That was right.
Yeah,
8 and 9 or what? Yeah. So I said last year that this is the most fun I've had watching the Vikings in years, since 2017 at least, because it was just like fucking. If I was a neutral viewer, I'm able to kind of compartmentalize sometimes, especially if the team's not that good. I can step back and be like, if I'm an objective observer, this is like the most fun fucking team ever. This is a blast. And so I was like, I actually had a lot of fun with last year. This year is last year, except for we're winning the games. So it's been even better. Yeah, it's been, like you said, I can't deny it. The big losses suck, but it's been the most fun season that we've had in 5-6 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, that's most important, right? It's a game. It's a sport. Just have fun. Enjoy it while you can. And that just about does it for us here at Purple Fufu. Headed into the playoffs. Let's pull off this win. Let's have a happy episode next week talking about the San Francisco 49ers or the Bucks or the Cowboys or whoever. Let's go, fellas.
Please. Let's do it. I think they, I called Giants, but I think they do it anyway. Fuck it.
Yeah, let's go.
We're gonna see like a 2-minute drill in the fourth quarter to see Kirk do what he does best.
And it will be poetic.
Yeah.
Poetic indeed.
What if Greg hits another 61-yarder on the Giants twice in one season?
62 yards just to get some
62.
salt in that wound.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's skull to the bull.
Skull to the bull. Thanks for listening, y'all. Have a great week.